Hey, Foot Clan, before we get started, I want to talk to you about the Sonos Beam. If you haven't checked this out, to me, the experience was this. I got the Sonos Beam, I opened it up, and then I realized this was a revolution in technology. I opened it up, and it was so easy to set up. I could play music. I could play my TV. We put it in our bedroom. You got music on it. You got whatever you want. Podcasts, yeah, you can do those too. And look, it fills the whole room with sound, and you don't have to mess with a bunch of different peripherals. They'll even send somebody out to hook it up for you if you need it. Order from Sonos.com and select up and running if you want that. And check it out, the Sonos Beam.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Let's go! Let's get ready. Week 4. The Fantasy Footballers Podcast, back again. I am Andy Holloway, joined as always by Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright.
Hey!
Jason Moore.
Yo! Hey!
We've got a great show for you today. We are alive, and Jason.
Step 1.
Jason went to his first ever.
It is true.
Baseball game yesterday.
In my life, they built this gorgeous stadium in Arizona. I believe just
Chase Field.
Just
20 years ago.
Just 20 years ago, and I finally made it down. Saw my first game of that baseball. Shout out to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Thank you for hooking us up. They were fans of the show. Got us all. We got on the field. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if you like baseball, that stadium was awesome. And if you're like me,
we may have got a clip of
football is so much better. It's not fair to baseball.
Jason, now, in baseball's defense, I know you fell asleep during the third inning.
Yes.
However, in
true.
baseball's defense, you broke your diet a little bit yesterday.
Yes, I've been on the keto, and I was like, well, if I got to watch baseball,
I
I'm
might as
going to
well
eat.
Self-medicated.
Yes. So
Cold Stone Creamery calls.
A lot of ice cream, some baked goods. I got the deep-fried chicken with the nacho sauce and the yeah, and the sleepy
I don't know if this was
tea.
baseball's fault or
Yeah,
not. But
Can neither confirm nor deny.
we all had our kids with us, and we all left early because we had been down there, and the game was going late into the night and school and all that. But did either of you realize the D-backs walked it off last night?
Not until you said that this morning.
It was a walk-off homer last night, beating the Dodgers.
Very exciting.
When we left halfway through the game, it was 1-0. Nothing had happened. And then a walk-off exciting finish that we didn't get to see.
All right. I got a quick question for you guys. Who is one – now, this is not fantasy baseball, Jason. This is fantasy football. Who is one player that you are targeting in trades right now? So last week on Wednesday, we talked about some trades that people had done. Brooks thought this would be a good question. Who are you actually going out and targeting now that we go into week 4? Maybe it's someone underperforming. Maybe it's somebody that's performing well that you think other owners haven't bought into, right? They think it's just a phase, but maybe it's not a phase.
Right. I could tell you mine. I gave a tip about going after teams that are 0-3 or 1-2. They are much more likely. Well, I think you're going to find a couple 0-3 or 1-2 teams that have Robert Gronkowski on them because you have to give up an early draft capital pick in the draft to get him, and the last 2 weeks he hasn't done what you expect, what you need, what you will get from Gronk going forward, which is just completely and utterly dominate. So there's usually it's hard to get Gronk, and it's rare to find Gronk coming off of 2 poor games. But if you've got Jordan Reed or you've got Jimmy Graham or even, Kelsey, who's way outproduced him so far, you can probably work a deal to snag Gronk. And there's not 1 ounce of me that thinks
you would really trade Kelsey for Gronk right now.
Yes, I would trade Kelsey for Gronk. Would you not?
I don't think I would.
Wow.
It's not, and this is not a player versus player. This is an offense versus offense. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are on a historical pace now that.
And they
maybe
won't stay there.
Yeah, maybe they don't break the records, but
the Patriots are on a slow pace, and they won't stay there. You brought up the fact when they get Josh Gordon, when they get Julian Edelman, these things are just good
it's going
for
to,
the offense.
Of course, but you're hoping and projecting that it will improve.
I would rather have Gronk.
Meanwhile, the Chiefs they're just dominating. And I think the domination of the Chiefs offense continues. That's why I would be hesitant to move Kelsey for Gronk.
Teams are going to get tape on Mahomes and adjust. It's a matter of whether Mahomes readjusts. He's not going to get to do this the whole year. You don't get to do the exact same thing the whole year. Every quarterback in the history of the NFL, people have adjusted for and made changes to. It's going to be up to Mahomes to make that change. I don't disagree that they're an incredible electric offense, but I'd rather have Gronkowski.
And regardless of the Kelsey situation, only 1/12 of our listeners have Kelsey right now in their favorite league. Everyone else, you can still trade for Gronk.
I'm targeting T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton is better than excuse me. He is better than the 32nd ranked wide receiver that he is right now. I know much has been made about Andrew Luck, average depth of target.
It's bad.
It is bad. It is bad that we're not seeing him extend the field as much. There have been incompletions down the field. He has made throws down the field. My belief is that this is going to be a progression for him to get down the field. And either way, T.Y. Hilton is simply too good to be a wide receiver 3. And so I'm targeting him because I think the disappointment, he's likely on some of those 1 and 2, 0 and 3 teams. I would look to pick up T.Y. Hilton. I'd love to have him on my roster.
The guy I'm going to throw out, he's a player who is already excelling, but perhaps the person who has Matt Breida on their fantasy team, maybe they're freaked out maybe they are scared and nervous that the handsome one has gone down to a very unhandsome injury.
What if they're scared and nervous that they don't think his 8.9 yards per carry will continue?
Well, that won't. But here's the thing that's going to pick up. Last year, Carlos Hyde was the bell cow for the San Francisco 49ers. When C.J. Beathard, the new quarterback, when he was playing with Carlos Hyde, Hyde averaged over 8 targets a game as compared to 3.8 last year. Matt Breida is about to see.
You're saying as opposed to 3.8?
That was Hyde. That was Jimmy Carlos Graham. Hyde last year in games with Garoppolo and Hoyer. Now, so what I'm projecting, what I'm expecting is a huge uptick in targets for the running backs. Maybe Kyle Juszczyk gets a little bit more action, but running back targets are going to go to Matt Breida.
Yeah,
they're not going to go to Alf.
This was the name I went to put in. I wanted to target Matt Breida. Yep. He is a clear target for me. I mean, you just laid it out perfect. When the starting quarterback goes down and he's overperformed expectation, you go, I want to try to I want to capitalize on him. It's not going to continue. The offense is going to be worse. I get all those arguments, but I agree with you. I think he's going to be more involved in the passing game, and he's going to be a legit running back too the rest of the season, who I think it's not going to cost you much to get Breida from half of his owners.
What about Alfred Morris, who had a very good week last week? I almost made a trade for him this morning simply because I thought I could get him cheap.
Sure.
Do you believe that because of Beathard, obviously the offense has to be dialed back a little bit, is there an opportunity for Alf to exceed?
There's definitely an opportunity. The run scheme of Kyle Shanahan has been extremely successful, but Breida would be the target as well. And perhaps they're also, if you have Breida, you're concerned about the injury. So maybe that brings down the price even more. Changing offense, the guy looked like he was done for the season for a portion of that game. I think I'm with Jason that I think he could, for what he has done and what I'm projecting for him to do, he's going to be cheaper than he should be.
The injury turned out to be a hyperextended knee. He came back in the game and performed well. Before we get into Pump the Brakes, because it is Wednesday, before we do that, I want to remind you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/TheFantasyFootballers. If you missed...
best news segment ever.
If you missed some of the impromptu news drop change from yesterday, there is a highlight video up. We're starting to do this. We're going to throw a couple of the highlights on YouTube as well. So you can check that out. Click the bell if you want to be notified of new videos, live streams, things like that. Twitter, at the FF Ballers. Follow Jason at JasonFFL. Follow Mike at FF Hitman, and I am at Andy Holloway. And the website is thefantasyfootballers.com. The rankings for Week 4, they'll be up at noon today, noon Pacific. So stay tuned for that. We'll continue to adjust and improve them all week long as we get more news, notes, information. But like I said,
Oh, he's warming it up.
me.
Bumblebee.
It is Wednesday, so.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Auto parts.
That was a real low one.
By me?
Yeah.
The register.
Old Man River.
Rivers? We're talking about Rivers?
Yes.
Are you
Pump
pumping the
the
brakes?
brakes.
No, what I was amazed is that I clearly was like teasing Pump the Brakes and leading into it, and it still caught Jason by surprise completely. I mean, he was like,
little known fact. Everything catches me by surprise at all times.
Who are you pumping the brakes on as we head into Week 4, Mike?
I'm going to throw out Isaiah Crowell. People may be excited by his fantasy output thus far, and it was a very exciting week for Isaiah Crowell. However, he gets to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are allowing the second fewest points through 3 games. Crowell is a touchdown or bust type of guy. You got 2 last week, so you were incredibly happy. The problem is Crowell only received 53% of the running back attempts, and those attempts, that turned into only 32% of the running back rushing yards, which is not good. And I understand he was getting carries up by the goal line, but you could see Bilal Powell was vastly superior with his opportunities. So I'm concerned about Crowell this week against Jacksonville.
Jason, I hadn't seen yours until just now, and I'm actually a little surprised. So who's your Pump the Brakes?
My Pump the Brakes this week is Marvin Jones. This is a Pump the Brakes that's saying that the expectation of what has been happening is not one I want to necessarily bank on this week. There is not a specific cornerback matchup. The Lions go on the road to Dallas.
Yes.
This is not one of these cornerback matchups where I go, man, because that guy's going to be shadowing him, he's going to lock it down. This is simply based on a number of factors centered around volume. The Marvin Jones, we've seen him have 2 really good weeks in a row, which means most people are going to start him. That's pretty much, people chase the points. Oh, he's been involved. He's got a touchdown in back-to-back weeks. But this is they're not going to be playing the Patriots. They're going on the road to Dallas. The over-under for Vegas is 43.5 points. They don't expect a big barn burner there, and I think that makes sense, right? You're at home. Zeke is going to run the ball. They're going to slow it down. So now if you have less total passing volume and less touchdowns going up on the board on the road, now you're splitting that up between Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Golladay. He's a guy that I think a lot of people want to bank on as a locked and loaded wide receiver too, but he's had 4 receptions each of his first 3 weeks. And if you don't get that touchdown and you only end up with 4 receptions, only 6 targets last week in a lower scoring game, I just think, I'm a little hesitant for him to just put up a touchdown every single week. So I don't think he gets a touchdown this week based on the matchup, the over-under. And if he doesn't get a touchdown, you're going to be disappointed.
The Cowboys contained Carolina and New York the first 2 weeks in terms of wide receiver fantasy points. They only give up 10 and then 16.
Yeah, shockingly,
last week they gave up 32 because of the Tyler Lockett. They were on the road. It's interesting because I've been on the fence in my dynasty league between Keelan Cole and Marvin Jones this week.
Yeah,
and I've been going back and forth. Keelan Cole has to face the Jets. But he's the clear target leader on that team versus Marvin Jones, who has that deep playability. If you get that play, you're really, really happy.
Even, you brought up how the Cowboys...
But now I switched back to Cole, Jason.
You're welcome. Yes, your thank you is deserved. Yes. No, but even with that monster game from Tyler Boyd, over the first 3 weeks, the Cowboys are the 3rd best against wide receivers from fantasy
Tyler
production.
Boyd?
Or
Tyler Lockett?
Tyler Lockett, yes.
Oh, man. What year is it? I got very confused.
So I'm going to pump the brakes on Calvin Ridley. I heard a stat yesterday that is mind-blowing, but Calvin Ridley had more touchdowns in one game.
2 games.
In 2 games than Julio Jones has had in his previous 24 games.
I mean, it's just...
I love Calvin Ridley, the talent. I love Julio Jones, the talent, more. And I know the world freaks out when someone scores 3 touchdowns. And it's just not going to happen like that each and every week. The snap count percentage for Ridley, I believe, is still in the 60% range. And I think while you're going to get the boom-bust games, look, we've seen it from that offense in the past. There was a run of Taylor Gabriel touchdowns. There was a run of Mohamed Sanu success. I think Ridley's better than those 2 players and more well-rounded, but I am pumping the brakes on making him an auto start.
On an auto start, and this is on a 1-week basis, or, because a lot of people doing waivers, picking him up. I look at him, I look at his upcoming schedule, I really like it. Cincinnati this week, but then Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay and New York before the bye.
Well, I mean, I think Ridley's going to be in that, I'd rather start Marvin Jones rest of the season than Calvin Ridley.
Sure.
So, if you're talking about 2-3 fringe guy, I think that's what you're going to end up with by the end of the season. They have to face Cincinnati this week. They are at home. They have a nice schedule, like you said, Pittsburgh, Tampa. So I think there's opportunity, but I think, the overreaction is why I'm bringing him up.
People love chasing those. I want a triple touchdown game.
Yeah, those are nice.
All right, that was Pump the Brakes from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Let's move on to the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Old busted drop.
I know. Look, the funky news drop it's in my board, and we'll use it from time to time. You can't get funky every day. Can you?
We want to funk.
Ian Rappaport reporting that all signs point to Ryan Fitzpatrick starting week 4 against the Bears. Do you start Ryan Fitzpatrick in week 4 against the Bears?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, he's not a locked-in must-start, but
He'll be in the top 12?
Yeah, he'll probably be in the top 12.
Yeah.
He's just airing it out. They can't run the ball. Just keep firing away.
Doug Peterson said Alshon Jeffrey has been cleared for contact, and he may be available for Sunday, but no decision yet.
Excellent.
The Giants called Evan Ingram's injury a week-to-week MCL sprain. 2 to 4 weeks is the estimate right now for Evan Engram. Who benefits from Engram off the field? Are you looking at Sterling Shepard and saying, wow, that he's a little more interesting these next few weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly. That's the guy that gets the bump. I don't think Rhett Ellison is going to be someone that you can count on at all, even though he came in and had a touchdown. Sterling Shepard's a great player. The only issue with Shepard has been are there enough targets to go around? You take him away from Evan Engram, Sterling Shepard will be a flex.
And what about Cody Latimer? Do you have any interest in?
Nah.
All right.
He's had, 4 years now to show me he can be a productive NFL receiver.
Hard pass on Latimer on this side. Bruce Ellington, injured reserve, Texans wide receiver, hamstring injury, farewell.
Yeah.
The Patriots re-signed Kenjon Barner. Now,
Ruh-roh.
Kenjon Barner doesn't matter much, but what matters is they re-signed him, which is indicative of an issue.
Whenever
Rex Burkhead.
Yes, whenever you have an injury floating in the ether for any team out there, you go, oh, Jay Ajayi, he's not practicing today, or whoever. And then all of a sudden you see that team promote someone from their practice squad or sign a running back to the active 53. It's usually a really good indication that the presumptive, somewhat questionably injured starter is injured because they might not play. So, yes, I that's exactly how I read into Kenjon Barner's signing. Could be nothing. I lean towards it being bad news for Rex Burkhead.
I agree, but I also believe that Barner will be – this is more of a special teams signing because Rex Burkhead is an excellent special teams player, so perhaps they take him off of that.
And look, we've got to discuss Sony Michel here because even I'm on record. I have started to believe that Sony Michel is the player that I was down on compared to the consensus prior to the NFL draft. I never thought he was a real pass catching back. Kind of showed that, but his opportunity's coming now. If Rex Burkhead is out of the way and he becomes the guy, he's got the chance to really take over here. He's a guy I literally just traded away, but I wouldn't blame anyone for making him a trade target if you actually
he was almost mine.
Believed in Sony Michel. I don't, but
their offense is going to be better.
Yes.
Sony Michel is going to be better. It takes time for running backs to acclimate to that system, whether you're Rex Burkhead, James White. It's taken them all time. First game out there, some jitters, some fears. I think it's going to be sunnier days for Sony Michel.
Sonier days.
oh,
Yeah,
Sony.
It was right there,
I
man.
really missed that one. Don't forget, it's Wednesday, so if your waivers have gone through, which they have by the time you listen to this, don't forget to drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out who people have dropped this week, especially some of the people giving up on players. Maybe Larry Fitzgerald hit your waiver wire, maybe some of those type of guys. And a quick note, Fournette practicing, Yeldon not practicing. Fournette likely to play this week, so that is good news for Fournette.
I remember that
owners.
same note earlier this last week, though, as well. So
I think they took an attempt at resting him and just sneaking the win at home against Tennessee.
didn't work.
And it didn't work.
Yeah, so I guess they need him. They're I think they made a good decision, though, because you need Fournette to be healthy. Hey, before we get into some cool Snap article stuff, listen, I have been really excited to talk about this sponsor. It's a new sponsor, Away. They are an awesome luggage company. I have been my next vacation, I'm getting the complete set. I have one of these bags right now, and they're awesome. It's the way that I view this. If you travel ever for work or you go on a vacation or anything, having nice luggage makes all the difference in the world. And this is like what I view if Apple were to design luggage. Everything is thoughtful. It's all, really well crafted. There's a built-in battery pack where you can charge your phone while you go. When all of your dirty clothes are like, oh, what do I do with my dirty clothes after the thing? They've got this compartment where you put it in there and you squeeze it down. It makes total more room in your luggage. They're really first-class luggage at a really good price. That's Away. They also back this. Check this out. Try Away for 100 days. Vibe with it. Travel with it. Instagram it. And if at any point you decide it's not for you, return it for a full refund. It's free shipping within the continental United States. You will love this. If you need a bag, go to awaytravel.com/footballers. Use promo code footballers to save $20 off at checkout. That's awaytravel.com/footballers and promo code footballers for $20 off your Away suitcase.
We want to thank Amigo for sponsoring today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, Amigo, It is a revolutionary toilet seat replacement that will change the way you use the bathroom. Have you ever really thought about wiping with toilet paper? Like, have you really, really thought about it? The U.S. alone uses 36 million rolls of toilet paper in one day, but with Amigo, you can finally say goodbye to toilet paper, save trees, water, electricity, because Amigo washes you in all the right places.
Hygiene.
Adjust the water temperature, position, pressure, width, and movement. It's going to feel like you just took a shower. Your hiney is getting clean. Amigo features a heated seat, a nightlight, a deodorizer with a carbon filter. It's easy to install. I am all about the Amigo life. Look, my behind. It is very grateful.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's clean. It's fresh. I know it sounds weird, ladies and gentlemen, but you got to check it out. Right now, our listeners can get $100 off when you go to myomigo.com/footballers. That's Omigo, O-M-I-G-O. Go to myomigo.com/footballers. You're going to get $100 off. The future seems weird at first. Let it be weird.
Nice. Let's
wash your butt.
Snap counts. I wanted to take a minute to walk through. This is a great time of the year to look at snap counts and how players' role on the team is changing. And this can be indicative of a player you want to trade away because their role is decreasing. And it can be indicative of a player you want to target because the team is gaining confidence in them. And this is key.
The team's opinion, it's so funny. We're always talking about how we're shifting our views on players. And So are the teams, the actual NFL coaches and teams.
We have breaking news.
Breaking news.
Your hunches were correct, my friends. The Patriots will be putting Rex Burkhead on the IR.
Oh, mercy me.
Go get Sony Michel.
Shoot, I just traded Sony Michel. Wow. That escalated quickly.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Got the old sleeper alert.
That is a disappointing conclusion to the Rex Burkhead preseason hype train.
Yep.
It's an injury. It happens. But my goodness. I mean,
there were a lot of them with Rex.
Here's the real thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly, and we'll jump back into snap counts. Jason, you were in the middle of an incredible sentence.
It was the best thing I've ever said.
I'm sad.
But James White.
Yo, yes.
I mean, if your confidence level is not high on the, 2-minute drill, third down, blitz protection, all of the things that James White is proficient in, I don't think Sony Michel is going to be on the field all the time. So James White's going to be out there in, 45% of the snaps, if not more?
Yeah, James White's a great target. I don't believe Sony Michel is the pass-catching back that a lot of people thought. So since Rex Burkhead had that skill set and that's gone, I love the idea of picking up James White. But also Sony. I mean, had I known that Rex Burkhead was going on the IR, I would not have traded Sony, and that's coming from someone who is not a huge Sony believer. It's just you want a piece of the offense. The goal line opportunities when the offense starts clicking should be there for Sony.
Wow. All right. I believe Jason was saying actual NFL teams' opinions change about players. That matters. The more confidence they get, the more opportunity you'll have to put them in your fantasy roster. And really, we talked about this with tight ends. If you're trying to decide between a few guys and you're deciding between 60% snap count and 80% snap count, and they're, a coin flip otherwise, I go with the guy that's going to be on the field. There's just more opportunity for something to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
It's really common sense. So let's start with the Lions wide receiver core, because we brought him up a little bit earlier this week, but it was very interesting. In week 3 against New England, Golden Tate's snap count went down to 74%. It was 84 and 81 the weeks before. Marvin Jones is still out there, 90, 100, 90.
And Kenny Golladay has been out there just as much, 92%, 87%.
Golladay and Jones don't leave the field, pretty much.
Yeah, Golladay and Jones are always out there. Golden Tate is the slot receiver. I think if you look at what happened in week 3, this was more of a standpoint of more run formations. This is just fewer all 3 of the Lions wide receivers had fewer snaps. I'm not concerned about Golden Tate dropping down to 74%. If you see that in a vacuum, that's one thing. But both Kerryon Johnson and LeGarrette Blount had 16 carries apiece. That's 32 carries just between those backs. So I think this was a situation of trying to get the game over while you're ahead of the Patriots.
And that's true, because the Lions running backs, Theo Riddick in week 1, when they were being blown out, 60% of the snaps, 28% of the snaps last week. I mean, they were not in a position to need to throw the ball to him, dump it off, 2-minute drill, that type of thing. Kerryon saw 44% of the snaps last week, which is actually the same as the week before. But LeGarrette Blount's went up as they ran out the clock. But the question on the wide receivers, I mean, plain and simple, half point per reception league. You have to start one of them. Who are you picking?
Lions wide receivers?
Correct.
Kenny Golladay.
Mine would be Golden Tate if it's a half point on a regular basis.
I would take Kenny Golladay for the touchdowns.
I would take Kenny Golladay. I rank them right now: Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones. And I'm not. I know I'm putting Marvin Jones third, and I pump the brakes on Marvin Jones, but I'm not actually against Marvin. I think he's a fine option for your team. This is a passing attack that should be able to work, but I want volume more than anything. I think that's still going to be living with Golden Tate.
The biggest problem I have with picking Tate there is simply the fact that he never finishes in that upper echelon.
Right. He's not going to be a wide receiver 1, certainly. But I think he's going to be slightly more consistent. 7 receptions, and even this last week, only on the field 75% of the time, 6 receptions for 69 yards. If you're in a half-point league, he basically got you 10 points on a bad week.
The Jaguars, wide receivers. In week 3 against Tennessee, Keelan Cole went in his 3 weeks. Keelan Cole has gone from 75% of snaps to 83% to now 93% of the snaps. I think we all agree he's kind of the guy.
Yes.
On this offense.
He's the only one you care about.
And he had, I believe, he had double-digit targets this past week, only had 6 catches, and that was really a Blake Bortles issue. Bortles struggled mightily this past week.
9 targets.
He
9 targets?
Could not, for the life of him, find his snake. It was missing. He was not Blake the Snake. No, he was terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Dante Moncrief.
He realizes what he has done.
Yeah.
Moving on.
D.D. Westbrook.
My bad.
D.D. down to 68% of the snaps. Dante Moncrief up to 84% of the snaps in week 3. Do you read into that at all?
Yeah, Dante Moncrief.
Hopefully we get some more base slapping.
Yeah, he had the touchdown in. I was so happy to see him slap at that base.
Oh.
It was great. But Dante Moncrief isn't a good receiver, and so that's his number one problem. He'll have he'll have games with touchdowns in the future. He's not going to be 100% irrelevant, but he's going to be 100% never on my team.
Quincy Enunwa, Robbie Anderson, Terrell Pryor. If you want to know how they've been doing, just look at
Jets.
Yeah, Quincy Enunwa, 84% of snaps in week 3, his season high. Robbie Anderson, 66% of snaps, down from 81 the week before. Robbie Anderson had the fumble. Robbie Anderson is over.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. He's over until – now he might resurface based on one of two things happening. If, as the season progresses, Darnold improves, they start opening the playbook, he starts going down the field, I could see a second-half resurgence for Robbie Anderson, but not in the next few weeks, not in the next month and a half. That's going to be late in the season. Or injury to Sam Darnold, Josh McCown comes back in, scoop Robbie up off of waivers. In the meantime, it's Baxter off the bridge situation. You punt him, you get rid of him.
And it's important to note, I mean, Enunwa's snap count went up despite the return of Jermaine Kearse, who had targets. Anderson was the one who suffered from Jermaine Kearse's return. Right. Kearse was out there. Terrell Pryor actually had his highest snap count of the year at 69%, but is irrelevant for fantasy.
Yeah, Quincy's great, and he's a guy that needs to be rostered, needs to be started in most weeks. I almost pumped the brakes on him this week. I didn't think he was essentially good enough to pump the brakes on, but
he's Jacksonville.
Because he's playing Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So this is just going to be a bad week for the Jets receivers and Darnold.
I want to cover 2 more situations, then we'll get into the Thursday night preview and some mailbag today. The Chiefs, the running back situation. Week 1, Kareem Hunt was 71%. Week 2 against Pittsburgh, 69%. Last week, 61%. And then Spencer Ware was up to 23%, his highest snap count of the year, which fits with the recovery from the injury. He needed some time to get more acclimated to share snaps. Now, 61% of the snaps is great for a running back. That's not a
That's
complaint.
not the problem.
The problem
I love
Michael Keaton, is that Kareem Hunt has exactly 1 reception on the entire season.
He has 3 targets.
I'd be trying to trade Kareem Hunt.
I don't blame you at all.
He had 2 touchdowns last week. That's not going to happen every week, and this is the time to go trade him and pick up somebody more with a heavier load in the passing game.
Yeah, this is not a fire sale by any stretch for Kareem Hunt.
No,
correct.
He's going to be a usable fantasy guy. He's 16 carries, 18 carries, 18 carries. Andy Reid's finally getting that part right. We're getting near 20 carries a game for Kareem Hunt, but Pat Mahomes does not check down to the running backs. And this Kareem Hunt was so great last year because he was a 50 reception type of guy
with Alex Smith.
Right.
With Pat Mahomes' version of a check down is a 35-yard pass.
Yeah.
Right. That's like I'm just going to,
oh, my 50-yard wasn't open. I'll just check it down
dump
here.
it down to 35 yards away.
I saw him look at Kareem Hunt a few times, and Kareem Hunt was wide open, and Patrick Mahomes said, I would rather die. This is for my honor, and then he just throws the ball 80
away.
yards.
He just throws the ball away out the back of the end zone. Not going to do it, Hunt.
Well, actually, guys, I have a little different take on that. I think what he's worried about is actually throwing the football through Kareem Hunt. If you try to dump it down to Hunt within the first 5 or 10 yards, it might just go right through.
True.
And that would be
that's assault.
That's
assault with a deadly football.
Jail.
So look, the truth is, if I could go, what I'd be looking to do is take Kareem Hunt, take another player, and go get Saquon.
Sure. Yes.
Something
absolutely.
like that, because Kareem Hunt's name value, Saquon's name value. Look, maybe you want Saquon right now, but if you gave somebody Hunt and a middling wide, like a wide receiver 2 type of candidate,
Right.
like who's to say that Kareem Hunt and Larry Fitzgerald doesn't get you Saquon?
Well, Larry Fitzgerald won't get you much right now.
All right.
I think
That's
you'd
fair.
be better off offering Calvin Ridley and Kareem Hunt.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
get the hotness off the waiver wire.
All right, the Seahawks running back situation changed drastically in Week 3. In Week 1, 44% of snaps for both Carson and Penny. In Week 2, 30% of snaps for both Carson and Penny. In Week 3 against Dallas, you at least saw the recipe when they are winning. And Chris Carson had 72.5% of snaps. Rashad Penny had 14.5% of snaps. That is a rusty Penny.
Yeah.
Not good.
It's Chris Carson from here on out. I still honestly do believe Rashad Penny is a second-half fantasy player. I don't think Chris Carson can keep up with a 32 carry type of a game with the way that he runs.
Yeah, the way he runs, he's going to get injured.
Correct.
Like, I mean, I don't.
You
I
ever
don't
see that
wish
dude with his
on-
shirt off, though, man? He's built.
Is he?
Yeah. He's
I'm
built.
He's an NFL running back. Show me.
He's built, yet Pete Carroll said after 6 carries last game,
He was gassed.
too gassed to play in the second half.
It was because of the special teams, because of those like 3 or 4% of the special team snaps that he took.
Yeah, I mean,
Pete Carroll's a liar.
Chris Carson is 100% the guy you want. As someone who believed in Rashad Penny coming into this year, and I mean certainly thought that would be his role, first round draft pick. You have to pivot. You have to change your.
Are
opinion.
you going to try and target Chris Carson though? Is this
No,
a long term belief?
It's a long term belief. I don't think it's going to go away by play. I think it'll go away. If it goes away, it's going to go away by injury. But I'm not targeting Chris Carson because right now you're paying up for a guy who just got 32 over 100. It looks like the 3 down, or at least the full workhorse back for a team that I don't think is going to be able to run the ball well in general with that offensive line. So no, I'm not targeting him right now.
You're certainly starting him over Penny. I mean, and that was a decision last week. Like
it was, yeah.
I figured maybe this is the time they'll pass the torch with
It
Carson
did
being.
look like it, but
Nope.
The Seahawks are not to be trusted.
All right, Thursday night preview before the mailbag here. We're talking the 1-1-1 Minnesota Vikings.
1-1-1-1-1-1.
Fresh off their Buffalo Bill butt kicking. They have to.
It puts the lotion on his head, or it gets the Bills again.
Wow. Is that Buffalo Bill?
Yes, that was a Buffalo Bill butt kicking.
Buffalo Bill butt kicking. They might have another butt kicking coming their way. They travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Rams are 3-0. The Rams are 6.5-point favorites at home against the Vikings. That's quite the line. I mean, I know they're at home, but the Vikings were expected and are expected to be a Super Bowl contender. So this just tells you the confidence that we have in the Rams right now in that offense. All right, well, look, the Vikings, their defense hasn't been as stout as it was last year thus far.
They are missing Everson Griffin. I mean, that is really telling how valuable so much. So he's a guy you need to monitor, see when he gets back in. I don't think he's playing this week.
Jared Goff's been on fire. He has 16 completions for 20-plus yards this season. He's got Brandon Cooks has been a revelation.
He's changed the passing game.
He really has. He's opened it up for everybody. It's not just Brandon Cooks' production, which has been fine. It's Brandon Cooks is doing what they hoped Sammy Watkins would do, which is be an ever-present threat, be a downfield threat, and all of a sudden Robert Woods is on fire. Cooper Kupp is taking the next step.
Go ahead. Stack the box against Gurley.
Yeah. It's an absolutely great offense. And then Gurley's doing what Gurley does, which is, score every game and be, over 100 yards rushing last week.
I offered David Johnson, Sony Michel, Amari Cooper, and a second rounder.
And your firstborn child?
Yeah.
Say, what else did you include?
For
that was a full away suitcase full of players.
For Todd Gurley in our league of record, and
I'm going to be shocked. He said no.
He said no.
Yeah.
He made the right call for the record.
But that is the kind. Look, you get the best player back and a guy on a winning team. He's got everything you want. talent, opportunity, amazing team, and a head coach that actually calls plays correctly.
Yes.
We were talking on Sunday how they get around the goal line, and they look like they're going to do something really cute, and they don't. They hand it to Gurley.
Yeah,
They look like they're going to do something
they
cute.
disguise it.
you don't do that jumbo crap.
Yeah,
Don't-
you
don't-
don't hand it to your fullback when Marshawn Lynch is standing in the backfield, and that touchdown could have won you the game.
Because McVay understands in today's football, you don't have to say, okay, we're going to run, but we're going to run it on you. Why? Why? Look like you're going to pass and then run. It's far more successful. Read
Yeah.
a book
Read a book
and wash your butt.
and wash your butt.
I'm getting heated today.
You're on fire.
So let's talk actual fantasy
Look,
plays.
the real questions are all on the other side of the ball. It's Kirk Cousins. It's Dalvin Cook. The hamstring. He's day to day. Do they take the chance to put Cook and a hamstring out there on Thursday Night Football
No.
against the Rams? And I don't think they do.
I don't think Dalvin Cook plays. His own words have painted a poor picture. I mean, he has said straight out that, he thinks he could be available. Now, the week prior,
that went from like definitely.
Yes, the week prior was I'll definitely play the next week. And then you just realize what happens if he does or does not play. This is a Thursday Night Football game. If he does play, it's less rest. He's getting in, chance to re-injure. If he doesn't, it's extra rest before the next week because it's a Thursday night game. So I can't imagine them starting him. And I was worried about Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. But with the injuries to Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, the two-star cornerbacks, I know that there are good backups for the Rams. And this is still not going to be an easy matchup. But you have to start those guys, and I wouldn't pivot away because of the Vikings.
What about Cousins, though?
Yeah, I would
You
start
still play
Cousins as
Kirk
well.
Cousins as a top 12 guy?
This is, Vegas expects there to be, a high-scoring game. I think
almost 50 points.
both great defenses here are currently dealing with some injuries that have shown a little bit of weakness, or I could show for the Rams' sake.
I am going to go out on a limb here, and I am 100% benching Kirk Cousins. I am not playing Kirk Cousins on Thursday night with a terrible offensive line against Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald after he just got pulverized by Buffalo. I think this is one of those situations where, look, maybe it works out. But if I could find another option,
Sure.
I'm going to be real happy to find it.
Yeah, Kirk is not he's probably not going to end up top 12 in the rankings, but I do think you could
Setting
start.
his phasers to bench.
Yeah.
To sit?
Nah.
To
Set his
to pass?
phasers. I think he's setting his phasers to stun.
he sent him to stun?
Yeah. Like, he's not setting him to kill.
To done?
He's just setting him. It's just like he's going to – it's – to me, he's going to go out there, he's going to get you 20 points if you're in a 6-point per touchdown league, which is – it's okay.
Not good enough anymore.
It's fine. But,
Not good enough.
It's not good enough.
We just brought this up. Russell Wilson hasn't had a game under 20 points. He's the 17th ranked quarterback.
Right.
That's not your standard.
That is not
It's
how
cha-
it usually goes.
not
Because
anymore.
he's dealing with the competition likes of Joe Flacco.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
it.
Joe Flacco is 2 spots ahead of him.
Well, Mike,
Yeah!
Mike, would you start and will you start Kirk Cousins?
I asked Jason because I was asking for a friend. I have Kirk Cousins all over the place, and I don't want to play.
You got Kirk Cousins and Ryan Fitzpatrick in your dynasty league. Who are you starting?
I don't know.
Thanks for helping the people there, Mike.
That's the honest truth. Is I'm actually considering playing Ryan Fitzpatrick. The rankings will be up in a few hours. You'll be able to see how
Your final decision.
See my
Your current
my
decision.
Wednesday decision, and then check on Thursday.
Are you starting Kyle Rudolph?
Yeah, I mean,
You saw the Rams give up
the Rams-
180
yes.
yards to Jared Cook in week 1.
I will start Kyle Rudolph in this
Yes,
matchup
I will
for
too.
sure because I do think the Rams will score, and if that puts if you don't have Dalvin Cook and you're not able to run the ball, Kirk's going to have to throw the ball, and with their defense, I think Rudolph is a great.
Let's
play.
say Cook is out. Are you going back to Latavius after the
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up, Jason.
to the Pooh show?
From my recollection, one of your teams has Dalvin Cook. I'm not sure which team. I think a super team.
it was the super team that had him and Devonta Freeman next to David.
Somebody
Johnson.
posted a picture of the Lakers when they had old Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, Paul Gasol, and Ron Artest as a comparison to Jason's super team.
Yes, I saw it.
How'd it make you feel inside?
It made me feel like I need to steal up and make some moves, and I made some moves, and I've got more moves coming, and I'm going to win the championship.
Yeah, didn't you just trade away starting running back Sony Michel?
I got other people back.
That's actually pretty funny because you need a starting running back.
I got Alex Collins as well, and I think Alex
How much
Collins
of your
is better.
Cold Stone Creamery adventure last night was related to baseball, and how much was related to your fantasy team?
50-50.
By the way, in case I brought up Jared Cook's 180-yard game. He's gone out to put up 49 yards and 31 yards. So
That's what Jared Cook does.
I just want to
I think
point
that's
out
more Cook.
I want to point out that is what always happens
Yes.
when people are freaking out. So without further ado, I think it's time to jump into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
Feels like it's been too long.
Ooh, yeah.
But, I mean, Mike's voice was ready for it. So
It's always ready.
if you have a question, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the submit a question button, or dial our voicemail hotline, Jason. You can dial if you have a question. 302-464-TFFB. Jason's like, what do I do? Help me. All right, voicemail question to kick it off.
Hey, Ballers, this is Matt from California. Thanks for listening to my question. Just like Jason, I'm 0-3 and currently looking forward to setting the world on fire with a 10-game win streak.
Yes.
I have Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson on my team. Obviously, I want to start Patrick Mahomes, but my opponent next week will be starting Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. Would it be in my best interest to start Watson over Mahomes because he'll be throwing to my opponent's players? Thanks again and love the show. Keep the good
that
work
only
up.
works against you.
No, I don't agree. I want to debate it at least.
Okay, let's
at least debate it. I don't think it only works against you. It's based on the other players on your roster.
Yes, there's a situation.
If your opponent's entire wide receiver core, and you can protect against that with Watson, I don't think that's always a bad decision. If it's a one-guy situation, I almost always say don't worry about it. But Watson's a viable starting quarterback, and your opponent. I mean, Mike, I would love to hear your thoughts because Jason was like vehemently against it.
Well, I want to explain that thought. The reality is, so if the rest of your take all three of those players out of the equation, if your team matches up against his team and it looks like they're very, very even and fair, and so then you're deciding between those two players, you can't beat him because the points that Will Fuller score and DeAndre Hopkins score
Wow.
are more valuable.
It's a
They
tough
get a
one.
point for every 10 yards. They get 6 points per touchdown if your quarterback maybe only gets 4 points for passing touchdowns. The wide receivers will outscore the quarterback in that situation. That's what I'm saying is that
I'm not saying you do it. I'm saying that you have to look at the matchup and see how the rest of your players do because it may be advantageous to wipe out his wide receiver core.
And
you basically will. Yes, they're a little bit more valuable, but Watson's not throwing 100% of his passes to those two guys, and there's a chance he throws a touchdown somewhere else.
I would say 85% to those two guys. The Houston Texans are playing the Indianapolis Colts. Delightful, juicy matchup. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes on the road divisional matchup against the Broncos. Does that affect your decision at all, Jason?
It doesn't. I don't know how after 3 weeks
You can fade
you
Mahomes.
could bench Mahomes. Vegas has it as a 56-point
That's
over
yeah,
under.
I mean, ultimately, you're right there. I mean,
I realize Denver is. We talked about this, right? Denver is the type of team that could maybe corral Mahomes, that could make it not work. But we got the NBA Jam rule in full
and he
effect.
is on fire.
He's now on fire. It's not heating up anymore. He was heating up after week 2.
All right.
He's on fire.
it seems like
Yeah.
the best start here is Mahomes.
Yeah, if we were talking about maybe a tier that's not the S class that Patrick Mahomes is right now, say I'm going to play Phillip Rivers or I have Cam Newton and Deshaun Watson, maybe then okay, because he has the two top pass catchers for the Texans. When it's one, it doesn't affect my thinking at all. But the two it's got me in there in the brain.
Keenan Allen has had 2 down weeks. Is he a trade target? Asks Phil in St. Petersburg. Would you go after him with someone like Marvin Jones?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Jake,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I'll
if
trade
you-
you Marvin Jones for Keenan Allen.
You can
I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a
somewhere.
no. He passed. Okay, yeah. I think you do target Keenan Allen, no doubt. Eric in Rancho Santa Margarita. Amari Cooper cannot be trusted in his dumpster fire of a game. His value continues to plummet. Would you trade Cooper for LaShawn McCoy straight up if you need a running back?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's not a I want LaShawn McCoy.
I do think McCoy's an interesting target.
Yes.
With the production.
Do you?
Yeah,
I
with
do.
the production that you saw from Ivory last week, Josh Allen moving the offense.
Like I said, though, there was
I would look at him.
average starting position of the opponent's 40-yard line changes.
Yeah,
things drastically.
of course
So
it
does an
but-
improving defense with a new defensive play caller that gives him opportunity. I mean, McCoy has done nothing but be productive in crappy situations when in Buffalo. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
Not just in Buffalo. I mean, McCoy has shown value.
With
for
Peterman,
bad
he put up
teams.
9.7 points in week 2.
Right.
So there, I think he is a target.
And not only that, but to add to it, yeah, I agree that he is. Look, Ravens, Chargers, Vikings. Those were the first 3 weeks for the Bills. That's, that we kind of knew that the Bills were going to have a rough start. Plus, he was injured. So I don't know necessarily that Shady's great this week. I don't know that he plays this week because he's still dealing with the ribs. But I think you can buy him for nothing. I've seen people ask me questions of, should I trade Shady for garbage? So just go find a couple guys you want to get rid of on your team that you're like, oh, I need to cut these guys, and see if you can get Shady.
People want to cut Shady. All right. Chiefy in Dayton says Keelan Cole or Quincy Enunwa?
Keelan Cole.
That's the rest of season.
Oh.
Yeah, Cole.
It's probably still Quincy for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the upside of Cole. I'm going to take the shot at having a top 15 type of wide receiver. Quincy can't do that. Quincy's safer.
Agreed.
But I'll take the shot at Cole.
Yeah, Will in Vancouver, would you trade James Conner for Dalvin Cook in a half-point league?
No. No.
Yes.
No.
Man. Yes, I would.
Things are trending.
Yes, there is.
They're better for James Conner,
100% agree.
who is and actually playing football right now.
If I had depth at the position, I think I'd rather have Cook. What do you guys think about, this is from Kahil in Kauai, Hawaii.
Oh.
I'm surprised I didn't get a bonjour.
It's still the US.
I'm just surprised you know that. What do you guys think about starting both Alex Collins and Buck Allen in your lineup?
Ooh.
Do
don't
you
like
have
it.
an eye mask? I mean, is there a way that you could?
You
I
can.
think
You can.
You can.
You cannot have sharp objects nearby.
You can do this. Okay. Now,
You can do it.
you can do this.
You can also jump out of an airplane with a squirrel suit on, Jason.
And-
Doesn't mean you should.
I agree.
Sometimes you live.
My point is not that you should.
Sometimes.
By any means.
But when you live, it's real fun, I've heard.
My point is, if you're deciding between people in that tier, just, things on your bench, you're saying, okay, Jay Ajayi's back. Should I play Corey Clement? Or, if you have to, or I'm going to not play them because they're both from the same team. If that's the situation you're in, I think you can start both of them. Should you? No. Hopefully you have one great starting running back, and then you're deciding between Alex Collins and Javorius Allen, and it's Alex Collins.
Swim with the Sharks or start Buck Allen and Alex Collins.
Do I get a cage?
I don't know how you feel about swimming with sharks. Yeah, you get a cage.
I feel negatively about swimming.
You're against it?
Oh, wait, with a cage?
Yeah, you got a cage.
No, I'm freaking out already. No way. Give me Alex Collins and Buck Allen.
Oh, Buck nasty.
Yeah. Better than I don't want a shark to bite my cage.
Let me ask you this.
I would die via no physical contact, and I would be dead.
So you're in, let's say, two situations here. You have to choose. You're in a cage. The sharks are all swimming around you, like you said, the thing that you're afraid of.
Okay.
Or you're in a spider-proof cage.
Give me the sharks. I'm swimming through the shark's mouth.
Even if the spiders can't get near you,
I will do the. The shark opens his mouth for 3 seconds. You have to swim fast as you can to get through it. Give me that jaw.
Give me that jaw. All right, that is it. Look, we want to thank Sonos again for sponsoring today's show. And I want to remind you about the incredible Sonos Beam, the smart compact soundbar for your TV. Like I said, it's awesome. We put one in our master bedroom. The Sonos products are great to begin with, but this is their newest product, and it's awesome. Simple to set up. And if you don't even want to bother setting it up, Sonos will send out an expert to set it up for you for free, which is pretty awesome. And it's just an absolutely great product. The sound fills the room. You hear all the voices the right way. You hear the music the right way. Everything's great about it. And you can order from Sonos.com right now and they'll set it up for you if you select the up and running at checkout if you qualify. So again, Sonos.com to check out the Sonos Beam. You guys have any final thoughts, shark related or otherwise?
I hate spiders so much. That's all I got. Hey, if you're going to play some DFS this week, which you should play with us, go to draft.com/ballers.
We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.